All right. Welcome to the August Focus On program. It's Focus on Mulvane Public Library this month. Thank you so much to our guest who said yes to me when I reached out to him. And I'm sure she's a busy person, aren't we all? So I will let you take it away. It's Shanna Smith-Ritterhouse, Library Director of Mulvane Public Library.
Hi, everyone. I recognize some of your names. I even see one of my own employees in this session. Hi, Victoria. Um, so I'll just introduce myself. Again, Shanna Smith-Ritterhouse. Some of you may know me through KLA. I've been serving the presidency role for the past couple years, serving vice president a couple years and president last year. So now I'm past president. Just briefly, there's a picture of my family. I am the mom of two young children, and I live in Mulvane, which is actually my hometown. My library experience spans from when I was 15 years old and I got a job at the Mulvane Public Library as a teenager. And I worked there a couple years and thought that libraries probably weren't cool enough and exciting enough. And I was thinking maybe law enforcement. I was thinking medical. I got my EMT and I worked at Wesley Medical Center in the ER when I was 18, 19, thinking that would be super exciting. At some point, I did pivot. And decide maybe that wasn't for me. I actually thought maybe the direction I was going to go was museums because I worked at Cowtown Museum in Wichita and just loved the history. Got a history degree from KU. Following that, I immediately wanted to go into grad school, thinking museum studies, and that is when I started thinking, well, it was about 2007, kind of recession was creeping in, thinking maybe when people are struggling, they use libraries, but they can't afford museums. And that's what made me really question, maybe I should go back to my roots in the library, which was my first job as a teenager. So at that point, I did grad school and I did it in 5 semesters through Emporia State. I like zipped through it really fast as a grad assistant. I got to know a lot of people through there. Right before I finished grad school, started applying to jobs. I wasn't tied down. I applied all over the place, but got an interview and was flown out. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm in a profession where they fly me out for an interview. But I was flown out to Grand Junction, Colorado. And it was there I served as the teen librarian for Mesa County Libraries, which is a pretty large system. There are 7 or 8 branches now. And so as a teen librarian, I got a ton of great experience. I was kind of a one-man department. I got to order all the teen books. My budget for that county ordering teen books was almost more than my current budget for the entire. I mean, I had it was close to 45,000 for just teen materials. I got to order video games, movies, books, all those things. I did
Neat.
programming. I bounced around programming. Um, I also worked the desk a little bit. I helped with scheduling. So it was when I was there, I was just kind of thinking what next, and I knew I wanted to be a director. So not being tied down, I was out there 5 years and I loved it. I next jumped all the way out to the East Coast and took a job in a library. It was called the Goodwin Library, and it was in New Hampshire. And I was the director, and it was a town. It was Farmington, New Hampshire, and it was a town of about 7,000, just like Mulvane. Kind of definitely coastal. When I look at my job, my jobs here, and it was my first director position. My library in Colorado was really wealthy, like because it was a system and it was Colorado, very wealthy. So then I yo-yoed, and my New Hampshire job, it was extremely poor. It was so poor, and it was honestly it was a tough ride. I came in after someone who had been fired. It was a bit of a mess. spent 2 years there. And then when I was actually pregnant with my oldest son, I decided I needed to be closer to family. So I moved back to Kansas, back to my hometown area. And that is when the Mulvane job came open. So I have now been in Mulvane for 9 years as a director. And I know this won't be my forever job, but right now it is so flexible and nice with my family that it's just good fit, and it gives me flexibility to be involved in the associations, to do some different things, and so it's been really good.
Excellent. Sounds like a little bit of trial by fire in your first directorship, going from that big teen budget to probably not anywhere close for your entire budget. Let's jump into talking about Mulvane as we already kind of started to.
Yeah, Mulvane, like I said, I'm from here, so I have a little bit of history. It's a really nice town. It is about it's almost 7,000 people. It's growing. There are new neighborhoods being built. It's not growing as fast as our neighbor to the north, Derby, but it is a growing community that it's and it has a great library, obviously. We're a suburb of Wichita, so many of you might not know where Mulvane is, but I put up the map. So we're just south of Wichita, but kind of in that Wichita bubble. So a lot of people in Mulvane do work in Wichita. Also between us and Wichita is McConnell Air Force Base. So we also have some military families. Our Just to give you an idea, our graduating class is around 120-ish year to year. Our largest funding entity, of course, is the casino. And Mulvane had to fight to get this casino. There were a couple towns that were really fighting for that. And some people in Mulvane were like, no, 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 because it'll bring all the riffraff. And some people were like, yay, 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 more taxing base. I do not see that it's like grown the riffraff. I think they're being very dramatic. It is not anywhere very close to this town. I don't know if anyone's been to the casino, but it's pretty far outside of town off the highway. So they annexed a pocket of like land and brought it into the city. So you have to drive a little bit to get out there. So it's like I said, it was not a bad place to come back to. But I'm glad I got away. I got out of state and I learned some things, but definitely Mulvane wasn't. I felt like it was a position that was giving me growth, going to give me growth the next few years.
Yeah, it sounds like you are taking advantage of that. All right, let's talk about the library in Mulvane, the Mulvane Public Library. Can you talk about how your library operates, what's your staffing like, your hours, executive board, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I want to share, and I'm just really pleased, and I feel like it's a good news thing to share with libraries because I know we have a lot of bad news things. I told you the casino has been a really good thing, and the casino is a really great thing, but we've had some taxing issues with it. It's been overassessed. So for many years, we were they were taking it to court. The casino was saying that, you overassessed us, now you owe us money. And so the city, including the library, was being hit with these bills from the courts, having to pay money back. Finally, Sumner County adjusted the assessment. And so this upcoming year, 2025, is the first time we're going to see a drop in our value of our mill. And the city was like, oh, figure it out. You're going to have less money. And it was a significant amount that I was going to have, drop in my budget. But I was actually able to go to the city, and the city council unanimously I amended the ordinance capping my mill, and it's actually gone up. And so for 2025, it's not going up where we're like getting a ton more money, but we're continuing to allow for growth and for us to maintain all our services. So I know that our regional library director, Paul, he was like, what? There was some surprise there because you know you never know with councils changing. So kind of I was been really excited to share that with people that like we're valued in this town, that the city council just like was like, yes, we need to fund you adequately, and yes, we are going to adjust this and give you more mills to accommodate for that mill value fluctuation. So um
Congratulations.
yeah, that was really big. And then we do have a governing library board instead of a advisory. So we have a governing group of people, a really great group of people. I would actually recommend everyone just to think about the different skills that really would benefit your library, and then you know, personally ask those people to serve. Of course, the mayor does appoint the board members, but I have like such a great group. Right now I have a guy who's like in tech security, and we're going through a website redevelopment, and to have like a tech guy helping you out. I want to get a digital marquee out front of my library. And so I asked the person in charge of zoning at the city to serve on my board. And so I think that thinking about these things kind of strategically, um, it doesn't benefit you to have a library board full of librarians, libraries. So our staff, we have 11 people on staff, 5 full-time, 4 part-time like library assistants, and then 2 library aides. And generally those have been younger students filling those positions. And then our hours currently, and I don't anticipate any change soon, but our Monday through Thursday, 10 to 8 at night. And then Friday and Saturday, we're open 10 to 5. So,
I just quick question. Having you had a job here when you were 15 and coming back, does that have an effect on A, when you first came as the director, and then B, with these kind of younger staff members, do you think that kind of adds to your relationship because they know that you were in their kind of same shoes at one point?
it does, and it makes me value having those kind of positions on staff. I think it drives volunteering with youth. When we tell youth like volunteer at the library, and they're like, why? Well, a lot of times we hire people that we've had relationships with, volunteers. That's a great getting your foot in the door sort of thing. And so I guess from my experience when I was young, but then growing up in Mulvane, it has made a difference. When I first got the job, there was one employee here that had been there from when I was 15 years old, and that was really fun. She's great, and so that was fun. And then working with the city, there have been some benefits being from here, where I already had some pre-existing relationships. And honestly, my mom is a retired teacher. And so sometimes when I don't have those existing relationships, I pepper my mom with questions like, who is this person? Like, do you know this person? Did you have them in school? Like, trying to figure that out.
Using all those resources. All right, let's move on. I love talking about library spaces. Let's talk about the library and what do we have here? It looks like you have so much to offer your community.
Yes, so I was hired in when they were pouring concrete on a brand new building. So that was in 2015. They started the building, they were pouring concrete. So a lot of the decisions on like the design, I was not here for, but I was here as we as the construction process push forward. So we our former library, which I worked at as a youth, is an old movie theater. No windows. It was a rectangle. It was about 3,000 square feet, and we jumped to 14,000 square feet. And so you can see kind of this layout, what we jumped to. And it has just been fantastic. We're some of the features we love are the windows. But then like the open layout is one level. One thing that we didn't do in the construction that we really, 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 really regretted was not putting a drive-up window. And so in 2021, with some of that CARES Act funding, we did add a window. So we actually have a window on the north side, which just gets continually used. We have a really small staff, I mean 11. So I don't have a designated person. I have a person who does a lot of our cataloging, although other people help out. But that person that does most of my cataloging, I actually have her work back by the window because it's periodic that, we have people coming. Our busy times are like lunchtime when the window's in use. And so that's been a really good fit that she can have that cataloging space back there by the window and then keep eyes on that and still be able to get things done. There's, some multitasking. In our new building, we have a designated teen space. You see that's with the orange furniture in the picture. We have a children's space. We have a computer lab. We have a multi-purpose room that's in the bottom right space where there's like a class that's a room. I do not rent it out. A lot of people call me about that. But we do allow nonprofits to use it. We're so stretched that I didn't want to have to manage like fee payments, after hours sort of things. And that room is busy already for just nonprofit use and library use. When we left that old library building, the city turned it into a rentable space. So when I'm telling people, oh, I'm sorry, I can't, we don't do rentals here for birthday parties or whatever. There's just a natural like segue, the city does, the old library is a community use space. And so that's been a real nice kind of, at this point, I wanted to share really quickly, we went from 3,000 square feet to our 14,000 square feet, but from 2015 to present, we have grown 71% more patrons. We've had 84% growth in checkouts. We've had 466% growth in programs, and we've had 433% growth in program attendance. So, we are going to about 2,000 people a year coming to programs, and those programs were story times and an after-hours book club because we didn't have the space to do it during hours. To like over 15,000 people in our building a year with programs. So, this space is getting used. So when I did go to the city and say, hey, we need this money to maintain, and I can tell them those numbers, they, like I said, they were pretty supportive.
That's
Um,
awesome.
this second group of pictures, I was just going to show as part of the building because you see our children's area. That was years ago when we had like a kickoff event. I think a summer reading program kickoff during hours where people could come in. But it's our children's space that you're seeing over there. There's a pocket of areas where there's children's toys against that orange wall. But it's a really great space. And it's right out of sight, but we have a fish tank and we have some kids' computers and things. The thing I really wanted to highlight with our space that when they designed the building, this wasn't even a selling point. This wasn't a plan thing, but we have a huge, nice yard behind us. It's a green space between us and we have a skate park behind us. And as you can see, one of them, the top photo is looking up at our building. And then the bottom photo is like if you're standing on the top of that hill looking down. So there's a little bit of a hill that creates a perfect outdoor space for movies. It's a perfect outdoor space for games, for water parties, for all those things. And like I said, that it wasn't developed for anything. It was just a grassy area between the building and the skate park. So it's been huge, especially like with COVID. I mean, we're using it, every other day. So
I love your points about the drive-up window. I wondered so much when the very few libraries in our area that have them, and if that would start being something we would see in renovation projects and new construction. I haven't really seen it like as far as me going like from our architects. So maybe that's something that people are like, but it's interesting to hear that you guys took that chance to add it. I also just wanted to point out with your big, beautiful building, I just love the light. I'm sure you guys really enjoy it. But then it looks like you guys have really good sight lines across the building. It looks like they really planned for that. So even though you don't have, enough staff maybe to have a ton of people in all the different sections, it looks like you can kind of be in the center and monitor from there.
yeah, we definitely, when we were at the old building, there were times there was only one staff in the building at times. I never felt very comfortable when I got the job there, and I changed that pretty quickly. But definitely, we always have two people in the building, and we have really good sight lines in the building where even the computer lab, which I guess I don't have a great picture, it's glass. So you're seeing it's glass and it's towards the front door. So you can see through the computer lab to the front door. We when we opened this building, almost immediately we became the after school hangout for teens, which is awesome. We weren't that before, but we need those sight lines after school. Sometimes there's just like almost like a dull roar with the teenagers after school because they're in the foyer, they're in the computer lab, they're over hanging out in genealogy because they're playing games at the table, they're in the teen center. It's sometimes it's a lot.
I knew we'd have a question. I knew it. I told you about outdoor movies. So,
Ooh.
question from Nathan about the Swank license. I don't know if you can answer the technical things. Anything you can throw at us, or like follow up what they might check out if they were interested in doing that outdoor movies type stuff.
Yes. So we do generally we've narrowed it down to we do 2 movies a year. We do one in June, and that's usually we age it up for like teen and adults. Because you can't show it until later because of sunset. And then we do one in the fall. Coming up, we'll do one in October, and then of course sunset is very early and we can do a little kid movie. I go through Swank, although this summer people wanted to show Princess Bride, and so I had to go through Criterion. It was pretty much similar pricing though. For a little bit, Swank was offering free licensing after
Mhm.
COVID, and that's gone away.
Yeah.
But I pay for the licensing. I actually pay a guy locally. He's from Wichita. Kenny at Kansas Audiovisual. He's so nice. I've been doing it for years. Anyway, he comes out with speakers and an inflatable screen and the projector. And he just hangs out and he plays the movie for me. And I'm going to be honest, it runs about 250, 275. So I mean, sometimes these movies can be, 600, 700 with both elements, but at this point we're doing it twice a year. And so do you run through a bunch of medical supplies being so close to the street? No, but sometimes we're the bathroom location for all of the
Yeah.
kids in the skate park.
Yeah.
So, and there have been times
Uh,
there's been fights in the skate park, and I'll call the police, and or I've yelled from my parking lot at the children.
in the water fountains. I don't know, as we move on, and we will have to move on, anything about this carpet wall and Velcro signs that Nathan asked about?
Oh yeah, yeah. You notice a lot of the bright colored walls, like in the picture right there, the orange wall. That
Hmm.
is like a carpeted wall, and we can use Velcro on it, and we've been doing that for years, for the 9 years. And I can see in some places where I do it very often that it's starting to be a little fuzzy, but it's still really good. When I hang art, because I rotate art displays, I can use nails, and it hides the nails. At some
Mm,
point, I may have to rip down the carpet and put new carpet up, but I would definitely put new
you
carpet back
do it
up.
again.
Yeah, I would do it again.
All right, let's talk about what we're seeing here. So we're talking about programs and services for our next couple of slides.
The things I guess I wanted to highlight just were that I have a really good staff. I have 2 designated programmers that are full time, but Victoria being one of them, she's very very good. But then I also have like a lot of staff members who are just interested as well. So although like I have my 2 designated people, my cataloger does bunko and like a fiction and friends book club, and I have 2 young library assistants out of my front desk. They're actually hosting a romance book club and getting like a good number of people in for that. So there's interest outside of just, it's not just the programmers doing this. It's a team effort. And frankly, we all have to sub when needed, as
Yeah.
well. Um, Something I'm really proud about is that we had 1,156 patrons register for our summer reading program. And we only had 1,100 in 2019. So we actually had more people than we've ever had before. So we've surpassed our pre-COVID numbers. And so we're finally like past that and, above. So we actually have a really healthy amount of obviously children register, but we actually have a really healthy number of adults that register too. I think it's like 300 plus adults register for our summer reading program. We I like to think it's not, I don't think it's our prizes being that spectacular, but I feel like the way we break down the prizes per week, we're pulling people in the door because my son, with my son, I've gone to other libraries who give you like one big prize at the end, and I have to drag my reluctant reader through those programs. Um, our program is kind of rewarding and like small, like, oh my goodness, you read a couple hours. Okay, here's a little prize this week, and here's another, and we do the big drawings, but we're getting people through the door. We're doing weekly drawings just for coming in the library. You can put your name in a weekly drawing. We're just trying to get people in the door, and we're succeeding because our numbers, like I said, have just continue to grow and have outgrown that pre-COVID number.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Obviously, as a suburb of Wichita, our strength is in our youth programs. We just have a ton of kids, and we do a great job there. A few years ago, I did have a programmer that applied for a Cargill grant and got cooking stations. So something you'll see in a lot of our programming is food. We do a lot of food programming because of some of those kitchen stuff, which we use with kids, teen, and adults. And then in 2021, we got an I think it was 2021, we got an ARPA grant for a lot of outdoor programming things that allow us to do our outdoor programs easier. So, but in the pictures, you can see summer reading program. You can see the foam party. That's actually was part of our Mestival that Victoria puts on. Down at the bottom, it was a paranormal program for adults and teens. And so those are some recent things we did this summer. I know this only goes till 2, so I was like,
Yeah. I'm just going to congratulate Victoria. I like those Mestival pictures I saw on your Facebook while I was picking out some pictures. All right, so we've got time to talk about partners before we talk about our professional organizations for a moment.
yes. So the one partnership I'm going to plug really quickly is that we have a partnership with 7 other area libraries. We call it Can Share. It was kind of created by myself, Derby and Andover, just talking in a parking lot, and frankly, me being really bossy with the 2 of them and saying, we need to do this. And so it is a shared borrowing consortium. So any of our patrons or the patrons of these 7 other libraries can use their card in any of our libraries. And so that's not something in our region in the South Central Kansas that didn't exist before. And so we created it. We meet 4 times a year, and we just like vote. Each director has a vote, and we try to align our policies, and things are just really chugging along. And we all know that our patrons would kill us if we tried to leave. They love it. They love being able to borrow books from all these places and us be linked, and the courier shoot it in. And so that's one of our greatest partnerships in Mulvane. But we're also, we partner a lot with the chamber. She's one of my actually really close friends. So it's nice having that link. The rec center, Victoria does a ton with the rec center and what they call the rec foundation. The city we partner with quite a bit, the Senior Citizen Center. The 2 pictures I have here, one is a candidates forum, that's the bottom. We partnered with the chamber this last year and invited all the people running for city council and school board, and we hosted that here at the library in our programming room. And so that was really great because that brought a lot of people into the library that may have not been using the library before. And then, some of those people are now council people and they've been to the library. And then the top picture with the fire truck, that was actually part of Big Truck Night. And that's a program that Victoria has been doing the last few years with parents as teachers. It kind of involves the school, the rec foundation, and it's a huge success. I didn't put a picture of it, but there is a farmer that brings the most monstrous combine to this event that just, I get nervous seeing the kids crawl on it. I'm like, it's so tall.
Awesome partnerships. Really cool to hear about what you guys are doing with your 7 libraries. I totally believe in that as being somebody who supports a consortium. I think it's great. So we have a moment just to talk about, obviously, you've got some stuff about KLA. People have probably seen you some emails, but you've got all these other great MPLA, I see, some, YALSA. what do you got for us as
I
we
guess I just
finish
wanted to
up?
highlight that I'm a joiner. When I was in grad school, I immediately joined Scala, which is a student chapter in the American Library Association. Immediately, I was like vice president. I, wanted to help out there. Then when I was out in Colorado, I actually got on the board of the Colorado, like we called it co-PLA, but it was the Colorado Public Library Association or section. I have served on the Wichita Area Library Association board and the MPLA board, and I was on two book committees in YALSA, the popular paperbacks for young adults and the best fiction for young adults. That's really fun if you have the time to read a million books, being on book committees. And then, of course, my service to KLA. I just really feel like it's important. I cannot say this enough, that you're part of associations. Because of just the community, the networking, the resources, the grants. When people aren't part of these things, I'm like, what are you doing? And I know that everyone can't be involved with everything. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not involved with YALSA really, and I'm not involved with ALA. But for stretches of time, I like to dig in and I like to be a part of these groups. And I think there's a huge value there. And so since I have you all in this room, I would plug that KLA does have some open positions. So if anyone would like to get involved in KLA, there are multiple ways to get involved in KLA. Not all of them are elected positions, but we do have a few elected positions that we're seeking names to be on the ballot. We have first vice president and second vice president. Generally, a person runs for second vice president, and then it's a 4-year term where you're first vice president, president, and the past president. But our second vice president left this year because they moved out of state. You have to be in the state to be in that position. So we're looking for both of those. Secretary, that term is up. Treasurer, we had someone leave the treasurer's position, so it's a 1-year term, which would be a really great way to do you like this? It's a 1-year commitment. So not to mention, you're not even actually, it's not like a heavy job to be treasurer because we have an executive secretary and she does most of it. So do not be afraid of that. I think any public library director could easily do that, just knowing a little bit about budgets. And then the nominating committee, and that's the group of people that help find people for the ballot. So those are some things. The other thing, as past president, I'm responsible for the presidential awards. So if you have people in your life and your library that are doing great things and you want them to be recognized, right now is the time to submit their name. And those nominations, you just go to the KLA website and it's under awards. I think it's actually in a couple places, but if you go to presidential awards or awards, there's a form for you to fill out and actually come to me and we'll form a committee and, go through those names. So.
Well, those are the messages. And I thank you so much for sharing about that. I am a big believer also in those presidential awards. I was so happy that I nominated somebody last year and then they weren't planning on coming to KLA conference. And so I had to give them a call and said, hey, you really should probably come check this out. So Erin, for her first KLA conference, got to be recognized. So if you have somebody in mind that works at your library, I think it means so much to people to be recognized. And I think this is a really great way to do it when they're going to Wichita, going to conference, and it just builds on that experience. So think about who's in your life and who's doing a great job and do nominate them. So that's my final word. Thank you so much, Shanna, for being here. Looking forward to conference, looking forward to presenting, being with all of you guys from across the state. So it's going to be a good time. And we are already 3 minutes over, but that's just the way the world works, guys. So you can have a good time getting back to work, and we'll see you next month for another installment. So see you around, guys.
Thank you.